So welcome back to part 2. In part 1, our power went out.
It happens.
So hopefully in part 2 that doesn't happen. So we left off last time with the responding phase, so I'll just remind you that the phases in order are: one person voices the complaint, the other person listens, they continue to listen until that person feels heard, the other person responds, and the response is, these are things I agree with you that I did wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And then we move to what is called the interaction phase. Thank you. My wife's hair is in my beard.
Sorry.
In the interaction phase, so remember, this whole thing is kind of separated in 2 parts. One person gets to voice how they feel, and then the other person gets to voice how they feel. So I'll say, Camden, I think it was a little unfair that you said it was multiple times. I think it was 1 or 2 times. And that's my only
pushback.
Yeah.
Then I would say, okay, that's fair. That is true. I did overgeneralize it. And I see that probably made you feel hurt and like I was pushing things onto you didn't actually do.
That's good. So if you notice what Camden did there, she didn't just repeat me. What she did was she got at kind of the heart of what I was feeling. She said, this is what I hear you saying, and this is how I think it affected you. And that language of affection is very important in showing someone that you hear them, that you're listening to them. So you could imagine, just for instance, if I said, Camden, it was not multiple times, it was 1 or 2 times, and she looked at me and she said,
yeah, it was not multiple times, it's just 1 or 2 times.
Right, that's not nearly as good as...
What I'm hearing is that it hurts your feelings that I blamed you for doing it a whole bunch of times when it really was just 1 or 2 times. I'm sure that made you feel a lot more attacked than if I had been specific to what you actually did.
It's good, yeah. So that's an example of how you want to talk and how you want to listen. So you want to try to avoid language like general language, like she said, I hurt your feelings. If she left it there, I would say that's not very precise, that's not very helpful. Someone can feel bad, they can feel hurt, they can feel upset. Those are not great words in expressing to someone the way they feel. Because we generally just don't, we feel bad, we feel hurt, we feel upset, but we feel bad in particular ways. We feel hurt in particular ways. Like you did particular things that hurt me or upset me. So we want to actually express that emotion to each other. Yeah. So at this point, we move to the apology stage. So one of the reasons we leave the apology to the end is that apologies can actually be used to minimize people.
I'm good at that.
So for example, let's make up something. Let's say
I didn't strap Laura in her high chair.
Right. So say she didn't strap in Laura in her high chair, and I say, hey, Camden, I noticed this. And I say, hey, Camden, this is like the 3rd time I've noticed you not strapping Laura in her high chair. That's really important. And then you just immediately...
Okay, I'm sorry.
Right.
I won't do it again.
Did you see it? There it is. Her apology isn't actually apologizing. It's saying, hey, back off. Don't tell me that I made a mistake. But what's coming out of her mouth is, hey, I'm sorry. So apologies can actually be used to minimize people. So we leave it to the end when someone actually feels heard. So reverse, in this situation, remember, I'm the offending party. It's my turn to apologize. And what am I apologizing for?
Leaving the garage door open.
Right. And just remind me, since this was a video ago, what bothered you about that?
The safety. It made me feel not safe and like you're being not careful with that.
Right. So a good apology is I'm going to, again, reflect to her what I did that was wrong. I'm going to show her how it made her feel. I'm going to use feeling language. And then I'm going to actually say what I'm going to do to change it in the future. So I know that's a lot to remember, but once you get it, you'll get it. So Camden, I understand that I left the garage door open. I think that was a huge safety hazard, and I do think that was wrong. I think it put our family in jeopardy from the scoundrels of the night, and you trust me to make sure that that's locked, and it was wrong of me to, in a sense, break that trust.
Okay, you can keep going.
She's getting teary.
I'm sorry. It's just so sweet.
It's okay. So I realize, so that kind of language of trust, you can see affects my wife. But that's the kind of language you want. So those are the reasons I'm sorry, and in the future I will make sure that I go out every night when I lock the house and just double check and make sure that garage door is shut, which I've been doing lately. I just haven't told you.
I've noticed.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's great. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Is there any other things I need to apologize for that I missed?
No, I think you got it all. Thank you.
So ideally, your spouse says, "I forgive you," not "thank you."
I forgive you. Sorry, I don't feel like upset at you.
No, I know. But for the sake of this.
I forgive you, Joseph.
Yeah. So it is important. I think it's important to say,
Yeah.
I forgive you, not just thank you. So after that, the way we do it, you can do it however you want, but I think there should be a hug because I think affection is important.
Mm-hmm.
So generally, we will have the offending party initiate that hug. So I say, I'm sorry, and we give a hug. And that's it.
I would add sometimes, like, you apologize, but if I did anything hurtful during the conversation, often then the other person will apologize, even if it's more minor.
Right.
Like, I would apologize. Like, I might say, hey, I'm sorry that I blamed you for a lot more than what you did, and that made you feel attacked by me and not being thoughtful of what you actually have done. Like, I might say something like that.
Would you add it in the future? In
the future, I will really try to be more specific in what I'm saying and not just accusing you broadly.
I forgive you.
Thank you.
So, that's it.
Yeah, that's how we do it.
Would you add anything or any comments?
I think, for those who are watching, like, I know it can feel like drawn out. Like, we do try to really make sure that all conflict between us is really resolved. But I do think that it really helps both of us to always feel like there's not a breach between us. And we do use a lot of emotion language. And I think that's something that, like, I wasn't really used to. Like, we apologized a lot in my family, but we didn't use quite so much emotion language as what we have chosen to do. But that has been really helpful for us in just each of us really feeling like, okay, you get it. You understand what you've done. To just make sure there's not any lingering, like, I know for myself sometimes there can be, or used to be, more of a lingering effect of like, oh, but I don't feel like he really gets it. Like, I know he said sorry and he won't do it again, but I don't feel understood. And both of us just realizing, like, that sense of not feeling understood is something we can avoid by having full conversations. And then I think that kind of continued wound, I found for myself, can come up in later resentment. So it's worth it.
Good.
Yeah.
So you obviously want to make space for this and time.
Mm-hmm.
It can take, if you get into a good groove, I think it can probably be as quick as 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But if there's a lot to talk about, it could be
a lot longer.
A couple hours.
Or if one of your spouses gets really defensive, it can take a lot longer.
That's true. You might have to keep going back.
Yeah.
If you keep going out of order, you have to come back and be like, oh, let's try it again. So this is a way to argue. It's not the way to argue. I hope it was helpful. And if there are other things that you're interested in thinking about regarding marriage or questions that could be directed to both of us, feel free to drop those in the comments, and we'll try to maybe do a video to that end.
Are we going to talk on any trust things or different ways people apologize?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so here's an addendum. So there are such things as apology languages. So maybe you've heard of like love languages in the past. Well, you can Google it. There is such a thing as an apology language. And just to share an example, something I've noticed for myself that differs from Camden and apologies. For Camden, what she wants to, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, what she wants to know is that I feel bad about what I did. So if I say I'm sorry, it's helpful for me to say I'm sorry and I feel bad in these ways. For me, I don't actually care if someone feels bad. In fact, I'd probably prefer they don't feel bad because then I feel bad they feel bad. What actually really matters to me is that they change what they're doing and that they make steps towards that change.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, it can really hurt my feelings if Camden says I'm sorry and then she does the same thing a million times. But I feel very cared for if she says I'm sorry and then takes steps to change those things. It doesn't mean she won't do it again.
Yeah.
But I can see her making effort. So example of not effort, by the way, will always be I'll try harder. That is not effort. That never works. So you'll have to be more creative than that. But there are other ways people can apologize, and you can Google that. I don't have it before me.
But I do think that's helpful for couples to maybe research and think through, like, what do each of you need? Like, what helps you feel apologized to and things mended between the two of you? Because this part of how we do our apologies is also made to help each of us to feel apologized to and reconnected with each other. So, but for some of you, that this, if your apology language is something different, this might not actually help. Or you could tweak how we do ours to more fit what you need to hear from your partner. So that's all.
Good. Do you have anything else?
I don't think so. It's not off the top of my head.
All right. Apology video done. Good job.
Thanks.
See you guys later.